So that was a birth from the Walnut Acres mass shooting that we had back in June. Once we were wrapping that up, we saw all the cooperation with all the law enforcement agencies. The supervising agent in charge for the FBI approached me and said, "Hey, you know, things went really great, and I think we need to start addressing these violent crimes and these folks that are committing these violent crimes." And not all of them come from Catawba County. As a matter of fact, several were from out of Catawba County. And so we jumped on that and said, yeah, absolutely, I think we need to do that and partner with all our folks. And as District Attorney Riley said, we want to get the worst of the worst off the streets. These people that keep committing crimes of recidivism, and we just need to keep these people off the streets. So what we're doing is we're identifying those folks, all the law enforcement agencies in the county, and we're just starting small right now within Catawba County. And we're identifying these folks, and we're making a list of these folks, and we're going to target them and make sure that we arrest them, we prosecute them successfully, and get them off the streets. Once we get this really rolling and off the ground, we're going to expand it out, because like I said, a lot of these folks that were involved in that shooting in Walnut Acres, they're from other counties, and so we're going to bring those folks on board if they want to be a part of it, and I feel certain they're good neighbors, and I feel certain that they will, because even during that investigation we had long hours, and we had cooperation from Iredell County, Alexander County, Burke County, all in Caldwell County. Those counties and the cities within those counties assisted us as well, because we had to follow up in those counties. So I think as we expand out, we're going to cover this region with this task force. As a matter of fact, in that Walnut Acres shooting, once Hickory PD, they started seeing these names, they were familiar with a lot of them. And then whenever we reach out and we find out we had some from Lenore, we talked to Lenore PD in Caldwell County, they're familiar with these folks. They may be more familiar with them than we are, just because they're in their jurisdiction. And so if we share all that information together, it's putting all the pieces of that puzzle together and making sure that we're as efficient as we can be and getting these folks off the streets. They had gang affiliation. We're not saying that this was completely gang related. We don't feel like it was really gang related, but they were affiliated with gangs. Shortly thereafter, we actually had, you know, the Outlaws. We had the shooting with those folks. That was a homicide in the city of Newton. So when you look at gangs, you're not just looking at Crips and Bloods and those type MS-13. You're looking at motorcycle gangs and just different, you know, groups that are committing violent crimes. So many years ago, back in 2010, we started a gang initiative, because we had gang issues back then, and we tamped that down and did, I think, a really good job with all the chiefs and the sheriff at that time, and in tamping gang activity down. Well, that kind of slowed down. Well, it seems to be picking up a little bit now, more over the past few years. So that's something that we're certainly going to keep our finger on the pulse and make sure that we're monitoring and tracking those folks as well.
Okay.
Well, when you think about it, just like with the mass shooting, but you also have other crimes. You know, drug activity leads to violent crimes many times, and they're associated with one another. So you know, you're talking homicides, you're talking assaults, robberies, even your carjackings and things like that. Not that we're having a lot of those, but that's just what we would classify as violent crimes against our. Sometimes, you know, if it is gang related and that type of thing, you know, you got victims and offenders on both sides of that. But then you have to look at our citizens that become victim to violent crimes. You know, they're just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they become a victim. In the pool shooting, a lot of those folks were just innocent victims that just happened to be there. So anytime you have a shooting or robberies and things like that, that's what we consider violent crimes, and rapes and things of that nature.